Hello and welcome to the Business Growth Show.
I'm Adam from Active Internet Marketing.
And I'm John from Octopus Computers.
And we're going to be hosting this podcast regularly, particularly appealing to businesses in the Stamford and Rutland area. We're going to have lots of exciting guests where we can start to hear about their career journeys and how they've got to the place that they are now. And hopefully there'll be lots of advice and beneficial information for people.
So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's going on, drop us a like and a follow and stay in touch.
Today we've got Toby with us from Love Stamford. Toby, tell us a little bit about yourself and Love Stamford.
Yeah, cool. So Toby Thomas, and I moved to Stamford just 3 years ago from London with my wife and 2 boys, not knowing anyone here. And it was quite a bold leap. And then it was the best thing we've ever done. We just made loads of friends really quickly, far more than we did in 7 years living in Southwest London. And it felt quite a privilege to be living in Stamford, kind of just felt so welcoming and didn't feel like an outsider, just felt open arms, welcomed us. And then I was struggling a bit to know what to do with my life. I had a bit of success we'll talk about with previous businesses in London, and then COVID put an end to that and had a bit of a crisis, get one in early. And then trying to look for something to get fulfillment. I tried many different things and I kept coming back to just loving Stamford and kind of being in love with this town. And seeing there was nothing really online to showcase everything that Stamford has to offer. So I thought, I could do that.
Yeah.
So I set up Love Stamford. My background was websites. So
That was easy.
Yeah.
What prompted the move then from London to sunny old middle of nowhere, love it here, Stamford?
Homogenous, sprawling Surrey suburbia. So every town we were in New Malden, which is like between 2 really nice places, Wimbledon Village and Kingston, which are both really nice. And my wife worked in Richmond. Her commute to work was through Richmond Park. We had an NCT group when our now 8-year-old Daniel joined an NCT group, made loads of friends through that. It was lovely. But then eventually just a bit sick of living in, it just kind of each little town merges into the next one. And you don't feel there's an identity. Got a bit of Welsh heritage. What I loved about the Welsh is how proud they are of being Welsh. You don't really feel a bit embarrassed about being English. And I think some towns where it's a discreet place, like Stamford is, you get actual kind of civic pride. People are proud of being from that area, and that's definitely true of Stamford. Whereas I don't think that many people are proud of being. Maybe there's some suburbs of London that's the case, and certainly there are pockets around there's a community and so on. But if you talk to someone in London, people are like, "What's wrong with you?" Like a stranger on the train, like you look mentally ill if you engage in conversation or even smile at someone. It looks creepy. Whereas in Stamford, it's weird not to.
We're all smiling,
Yeah.
That's good.
It is a great community, definitely, as you say. I absolutely agree with you. And tell us a bit about your earlier business success then that you kind of alluded to.
Yeah, so consistent failure for about 10 years. Left uni, went into employment, hated it. I ended up doing media planning and buying spreadsheets. I could do it, but I just didn't enjoy it at all. And I've had gone that route. I should have probably gone into creative side, advertising. I'd been quite good at that. Did a bit of online marketing, SEO, Google, that sort of thing. And then quite self-confidence to start a business. So I started SEO Web Designs, which still exists. It's still kind of my business name in a sense. And I was doing SEO consulting and Google AdWords, that sort of thing. And then started building websites, but I didn't really want to learn coding. I wanted to kind of wing it. So I was using Dreamweaver, which isn't great. And then after a few little forays, I started various businesses with mixed success, various little failing cheaply, like starting little forays into different things. I then discovered WordPress, which is this free open source platform, which is very easy to use, to be a coder. And within 5 minutes, I was like, thank God I can move out of my parents' loft. At the age of like 28. It was kind of running out of time a little bit. So thank goodness. And within 5 minutes, I was just like, right, I can do this. So I started consulting in it and realizing the ceiling was quite low. It was just my time. So I put my price up a bit, but I felt it wasn't really worth what I was charging, even though people were paying it. So I thought the best thing is to make it a product and sell it as a product, as a training course. So I built a 1-day training course, and then I refined it and developed it and started training people. And that grew really quickly. This was 2010. And then, so lots of people were signing up, lots of small business owners, freelancers, complete mix, really interesting people as well. A lot of them got sick of paying sometimes dodgy car mechanics or freelancers or certain bad agencies, a lot of money to not do very much or make their site far more complicated than they wanted it. So I thought, well, give them the shot, just show them how easy it can be to run your own website. And the compromise really was telling people don't go for a really fancy design, just keep it simple. And obviously later on, once you've got the site working, now to content and get it on Google and so on, then you can add fancier frills and stuff.
Yeah.
And that did really well. So yeah, I was running courses in London and 2 a week in London. And then I started doing Manchester, Birmingham, Norwich, Brighton, and then bespoke courses for businesses. I used to go to Cambridge University, cancer research, various unis and companies around the country and just run in-house training, which was great. It was really fun. And you get to know the businesses and where I not missed a trick. It was a conscious decision. I wanted to keep my stress levels low. So I decided not to start like an agency. People would ask me for extra work and I just send work to other people.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to be doing, running a web agency
Not the
as well.
maintenance piece of it, just the training bit. Yeah.
So I got a simple product. It was hosting £8 a month, which I still charge now, which is very cheap. And the idea was if they wanted extra any time from me, that'd be extra, like an hourly rate. And I'd send work to other people. So that worked really well. And then, COVID hit and kind of.
So what changed during the pandemic that made the shift?
Well, I was actually using Zoom before the pandemic. I was kind of quite an early adopter with Zoom. I thought it was brilliant. And I was starting to run some training on Zoom because instead of going to Scotland, I could just stay in London in my office, in my house and train people anywhere. Sometimes in Spain, I'll talk to people in Spain, all sorts. Dubai, further afield. And then when COVID hit, I thought, oh, that's fine. I'll just do it on Zoom. But then obviously it was a bit lonely and not fulfilling in the same way, not being in a room with people.
Yeah.
And a lot less demand as well. The demand kind of dried up. So I was doing stock market stuff anyway. So I paid the bills just doing more of the stock market stuff, and that did. Well, I invested heavily in Zoom quite early on.
Right.
I basically put like half our mortgage on Zoom, and that
paid off
did all
quite
right.
well.
So but it's weird though because we'll talk about this later. But you think it's the kind of being able to wind down from work is the best thing. It's what you want to do, and actually, it was the most miserable I've ever been. You want the graft unfulfilled. You want the graft. It's the thrill is in the chasing, not the getting. And so I know it sounds like a ridiculous problem to have, but I've suddenly found myself a lot less happy knowing I didn't need to graft in the same way as I used to with running the courses. There was some flip sides to it. The reason I kind of did it was had a second baby on the way and wanted to spend more time with him because the first one I'd go off to Manchester and Birmingham for a couple of days every few weeks and then come back and he'd be like, you're dead to me. It's only like 1 year old, but it's like, you're dead to me. I have to win him back.
You don't get that time back either, so it makes good sense.
Yeah, first few years of kids' life is pretty precious. So
speaking of building new things, talk to us about Love Stamford. I understand the ideas come about loving where you are. What is it?
So it's quite nebulous at the moment, and it's movable feast, a developing idea. Like I said, I kept on coming back to that when I was trying to find out things that I'd find fulfilling and so on. An excuse to meet people in person, basically, a vehicle to go and build relationships and be my own like account manager and salesperson. And I wanted to do it as a kind of philanthropic thing, kind of a charitable thing initially. And then I realized speaking to people who run social enterprises, actually the best route to go is to do it as a social enterprise. So profit with purpose. I suppose you could say not for profit, it kind of makes a profit, but certainly not profiteering. So not just doing it commercially.
For profit, for good.
For good, yeah. So to benefit community. And when I met everyone, it was great. Just went and I built the website in about a week with a bit of help from AI, just kind of built it and on WordPress because that's my background. And then I thought, I need to go and try and break this. So I want to try and meet people and waiting to be told, you can't do this because it clashes with that or whatever. And even people I thought might be competitors were like, no, this is great. We can collaborate and work together. And everyone's really genuinely friendly and encouraging. Met all the counsellors and loads of business owners and so on. It's been great. Loads of charity heads. And everyone was saying this is great. And everyone was agreeing the fact that Stamford is inundated with print media. There's so many, and they're great, but there's so many of them. I won't reel them off. There's about 12.
In terms of what you're covering on there then, you want to have a directory for local businesses.
Absolutely, yeah.
You want to list local events, whether they be continuous ones or one-offs as well. You want to promote like hotels and pubs and restaurants on there as well. So really make it a hub of the community and a place that people can be their first port of call to see what's going on
You're doing my spiel for me here.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, exactly right. No, so Love Stamford is a website to act as a directory and guide to people living, working, and visiting Stamford, trying to promote Stamford as a destination as well as for people already here. And it will very much be like a wayfinding. If you arrive in Stamford, whatever your situation, this will help you find what you need. So a directory is a key part of it. That'll be like the welcome screen of the website is a directory. And then there'll also be lots of articles, and we'll do kind of, the 5 best pubs or the, all that sort of stuff. Well, that's where you get into trouble, because I don't want to alienate anyone. I want to be inclusive to everyone. But if you can make it where it's quite niche topics, hopefully everyone will be happy with that. So the 5 best pubs for families or so on, and then you're not going to annoy too many people. So I want to be very inclusive. I don't want to, and I don't want it to be a paywall. I don't want it to be exclusive to people paying. It's going to be friends of Stamford. Anyone's a friend of Stamford. They can, a friend of Love Stamford, and they can have a listing and be fairly full featured. The free listing. I'm not going to make it so you just get your name and that's it. It'll be quite a generous free listing, and there'll be options to get upgrades. Been following the business models a little bit of loads of directories that failed in the past. There's dozens of them littered with like Yellow Pages, right? They were the Google of the day, and they've fell by the wayside pretty much like Blockbuster Video. So I don't want to make the mistake a lot of those directories where they overcharge and actually don't bring in leads. So instead I want it to be really good value where we're bringing in leads for free, and then potentially people want to upgrade and get more features. But a lot of those sites like Trustpilot and the Rated Trader review sites, Trustpilot, those sorts of things, TripAdvisor, I'm thinking of. A lot of them lack, they seem to give people an easy way to list themselves. And then actually you want genuine reviews from people. And you don't need that many data points to get genuine reviews from people. So I think there should be an easy way to have some trusted reviewers. You only need about 50 or 100. Ask them a questionnaire of like, who's your preferred plumber, etc., favorite restaurant, etc., and you get some really useful,
especially
genuine
if it's
data
localized
points
as well. There's a lot of value in that. I like that a lot. I suppose everyone could then register their favorite family pub, their favorite. What is it? Stamford Church, probably.
Yeah. Anything, everything.
Enough
of
them.
Yeah.
Really
what have you enjoyed about putting it together so far, and what are you really looking forward to in the future being involved?
Just like I said, really, the meeting people, building relationships. I certainly don't want to go into politics, because sometimes I'm talking to people and end up talking about people's grievances with the town or with different aspects of the town. And I suppose part of it will be finding out what people want and what they'd change. But big part of it, and again, this sounds like it's politics. Shoot me if I ever go into politics, please. The last thing I want to do. I'd be awful at it. But it'd be really good to have a way for people to have more joined-up thinking, basically. So there's so many frustrations people have in Stamford, and they're not talking to each other enough and benefiting from the synergies, and just realizing if they lobbied together or started something together, then, and I think capitalism is the way, like people can ask for grants and funding from the council, but then they have to go to Grantham, and then Grantham's often not giving that much back to Stamford. So there's that issue there. Stamford's seen as just a very wealthy, affluent town. It does have that side to it, absolutely. Yeah. But there's another very impoverished side of Stamford that people don't realise.
It's a town of two halves, isn't it?
Absolutely. And there's great charities out there. Just to name a couple, Mindspace, Evergreen, loads of really good local charities helping out. The food hubs as well. There's 2 really strong food hubs, various things like that. But I think if there was more joined-up thinking, another example, more joined-up thinking would solve some of these problems a bit without requiring council, government funding, grants. I think private enterprise can perhaps
be a
fill
place
some of that.
where people can find a starting point where they can then collaborate with other people in that community, and really you want to initiate some of that positive stuff coming from that.
Definitely. For example, talking about Visit Stamford, I mean, we've had so many friends come and visit us from our lives, like previous, times in London and university. I did a gap year, went around the world, lived in Vietnam for 6 months, and all of them, 14 of them, lived in Vietnam in 2002. They all came to visit. Wow. And the message I got from so many people coming to visit us in Stamford, all our friends, were like, wow, I'd never heard of Stamford. It's stunning. Yeah. How had we not heard of this place? And okay, you might tell them about, Pride and Prejudice, the film was filmed here in the middle, some, Dickens and Austen stuff was filmed here. But it's interesting how many people, when they come to the UK from around the world, they go to the classics, right? Oxford, Bath, Edinburgh, Cambridge, Stratford-on-Avon, exactly.
York's
a big one, absolutely. And they often don't think of or even know about Stamford. And we were the same. I only came the first time for my father-in-law's 60th in 2016. And I'd never heard of the place. And I was like, wow. So the message, I guess, is it'd be great to get more footfall in Stamford and have more people know about this place without ruining it. Because it is increasing in size. It is going to get more popular. There was an article just recently, a couple of articles in the Press, Guardian and The Sun. And we've got an Airbnb in our house. And we noticed the bookings suddenly went. We had like loads of bookings in the space of a week, what we'd normally have in like 6 months.
Right.
And apparently that's this article. So the word is spreading. But there are a few problems, like there's no budget or mid-range accommodation. There's the George, the Crown, the various guest houses, but there's no Travelodge or Premier Inn
there are a lot
anywhere
of
near.
Infrastructure, I think, problems as well. Again, we run the risk of drifting into politics, but when you look at doctors, dentists, schools, they're nearly all oversubscribed. So in a growing town, that is a challenge.
Absolutely. It's going to be doubling in size. So Stamford North and the Quarry Farm, that whole development, there's 8 developments coming online. The Stamford's going to more than double in size over the next couple of decades.
Wow.
And I want to embrace that. I don't want to be like a NIMBY, not in my backyard. I think we have to embrace the fact. And it's great. Stamford's going to increase in diversity and all these wonderful things. It's going to become more kind of cosmopolitan and more inclusive. Great. That's brilliant. Let's welcome and celebrate that. But let's also try and make sure that it's grown sustainably. And that, like you said, all those things, roads, infrastructure, doctors, schools, because it's already struggling on a lot of those fronts.
It needs to grow, because if you don't build the houses, and the next generation that comes through has to leave because there's nowhere for them to live. And then employers struggle to find appropriate workforce because they all have to leave, and we have to bring people into the area. So it is unavoidable. If you want sustainability that is linked, unfortunately, to growth, you've got to do it sensibly.
Definitely. No, I agree. Yeah.
I think the site, if you achieve everything that you're hoping to do, which I'm sure you will be a great place for people to be able to come together to make sure that they do have an opportunity to express about how these things can be achieved, but with not losing its identity that it has already, which is very important, I think.
Definitely. Yeah. You could have more people visiting the town centre, and that will be good, right? All the businesses, local businesses will benefit. All the independents as well, the shops, restaurants and so on will thrive. It doesn't have to ruin anything. This idea that, more people, but we need the infrastructure in place. And what will finance that, I think, will be the small businesses that are benefiting from all the extra people. And these things should, ideologically, they should kind of pay for themselves. You've got park and ride, there's a lot of opportunity to park and ride, have more people coming in for a day trip to Stamford. So you need to have like an electric shuttle bus, charge £1 a go. You've got enough people doing it from out of town. There's a few locations. I mean, Burley's got a big car park already. Have an electric shuttle bus. They're missing out at the moment on people visiting because a lot of people, apparently tourists, come to the centre and just don't end up making the trip out to Burley.
Right.
They might get a taxi, but they have to use their own initiative. Or if you had like a free Red Lion Square to Burley shuttle bus or £1 a trip, whatever, that just solves quite a few problems right there. You have more people visiting Burley and more people visiting Stamford, and the shops and businesses in Stamford would benefit. So this kind of thing, I think, would be great for the town and great for the small businesses. Just to carry on that a little bit, but a bit of a moan about Burley. Obviously, it's a great organisation and they do fantastic things. I was at Battle Prom last week. I'm going to Burley Ibiza, Classic Ibiza, slightly different vibe. In 2 weeks' time.
Just as loud.
It has, these great events. I was there yesterday with the Scouts, the Adventure Park. There, I sound like an advert now, but wait for it. There's also a flip side where I think they could do more in the town to, for example, the only venue space really used at the moment is at the Rec and the Meadows, and they're both not without their problems. There are the odd events here and there and so on, but I feel like there could be more integration and, to use a phrase again, join up thinking between businesses when the big events happen, like Burley Horse Trials. Some businesses in Stamford don't actually thrive. They close. They close. And I feel that's a real wasted opportunity. If the businesses in Stamford were, they should be benefiting from horse trials. Everyone should be winning from that, as well as obviously Burley making a lot of money. It's got big expenses. It's building all these things and got to maintain its, huge estate. But it'd be great to have a bit more, working together with the town, I think.
Definitely.
So you've taken a tangent here. You've built quite a few different things over the years. That's fair to say.
Yeah.
What's been probably the key highlights for you? What do you enjoy most about that process of building?
Yeah, I've loved it. I've self-diagnosed like yourself, as you talked about before, self-diagnosed ADHD.
Yeah.
I'll build something, it will start working, it will start taking off, and I'll get bored and move on to something else. I've done that dozens of times. I've set up some great little businesses. I can tell you about some of them. I learned something from all of them. So I ran a speed dating business. I started an aggregator listing all the speed dating events in London, and then made it UK-wide. And then started running events myself. This was like 2006.
Yeah.
Started running events myself, and then got involved with one of them and started doing franchising. And they were challenging to work with, and so I kind of ended that. But that was when I discovered WordPress.
Yeah.
Discovered WordPress, went to see the Inception film, the Leonardo DiCaprio film Inception, watched that film and thought, the spinning top?
Yeah.
And I thought, people are going to want to buy those. That's like a desktop executive toy.
Yeah.
So literally the next day after seeing it, I bought spinningtops.co.uk. They can't sue me, the film company, for buying spinningtops.co.uk. Yeah. Whipped up a website in half an hour, started selling them with PayPal. The next day I had like 5 orders. And I was like, I better start sourcing these. So I started calling loads of machinist companies in the UK, ended up going to China, getting them sourced from, and I sold a few thousand of these little spinning tops. And there's another company now that, I don't know if they saw my business or did it independently. I don't, who cares? Forever Spin. And they had a Kickstarter. And they're one of the success stories in Kickstarter, Canadian company.
Amazing.
And they sell like really, like way better than mine. Mine was cheap junk.
Yeah.
Well, Gerald Rattinger said about it as a jury, but my business is already over. They sell like really high precision. You can choose your metal. You can have like platinum and gold and all sorts.
Wow.
And they've done that business really well. And I did it as a bit of a foray. And it was great. I learned some things from it. Yeah, speed dating, spinning tops. I built 1,500 domain websites, domain names. I got obsessed with, keyword research on Google.
Yeah.
I started using keyword research to find out the demand for different keywords. And then you can bulk check domain availability with some of the...
Right,
so I started using really complicated formulae on Excel to basically bulk search and bulk check domains that were available, and bought some insanely valuable domain names for like £3. So I bought like manchesterelectricians.co.uk and birminghamplumbing.co.uk, all these domains.
Yeah.
I started building these sites, getting leads. It was doing really well. And then the WordPress courses thing took off. So I just let that fall by the wayside. I was spending a fortune on these 1,500 domain names, and I clung on to them for years. Just like, that was like so much revenue being wasted. It was stupid. Anyway, eventually I was like, my wife was like, how come you've been, like the revenue's really high, but the expenses are so high? There's a number at the end of
you're the only cost.
I was like, there's these domain names I've been paying for like clinging on to, thinking one day I'll, so eventually I was like, right, just cancel those.
Where's all the money? And then the profits, I've got a problem.
Profits went up a bit. So that was good once I did that. Yeah. But various things like that I've tried my hand at. It's been great. It's been a roller coaster. Yeah.
What about sort of the biggest lesson learned? Because when you try enough things, you run into enough failures. Right? So what have been some of the biggest learning points you think on that journey?
Well, that one. Yeah. I've already answered that one. That was a big one. Yeah. It's easy to cling on to hopes you had for a business idea or something and just invest. It's like not cutting your losses kind of thing. What was I going to say? That's a big lesson I've learned is so many businesses focus on increasing sales and revenue and actually don't focus enough on cutting costs. And that's something I've always been very good at. My parents instilled this really good sense of frugality in us growing up. The whole look after the pennies, the pounds look after themselves. So aside from my domain name, large S, I've generally been very good at keeping costs low, both personal life and professional life. So, for example, with Google advertising, I was spending a fortune on Google AdWords. And then I thought, right, I'm really going to focus on SEO, get the site top of Google. And I did. It took about a year. And any search to WordPress courses, WordPress training, anything like that, I was often top positions on Google. Yeah. And then word of mouth as well. So I made the course as good as I could. And then I found loads of people were coming through, having had it recommended to them. And so I basically almost completely stopped all Google advertising. And that was my biggest cost. Once the domain names got cancelled, my biggest cost by far was... Like at one point, I was spending $13,000 in a month on Google AdWords.
On pay-per-click.
They were making more on pay-per-click. They were making more money from my business than I was myself. I remember at the time I was like, God, check that was that much, and so I
knock out
that was a long time.
A theme of shopping addictions.
Yeah. It all comes out now. Yeah, it's like a confessional.
What would if you had to think of some advice you'd give to somebody starting a new business or a young person, what do you think the biggest things are that they could learn from your experience?
Yeah, great question. I love that Japanese word. Is it Kaizen? They're making little improvements all the time. Kanban. That's a big one. Was it?
Kanban and Kaizen.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I suppose it's different. Yeah. But yeah, the same principle is always improving. Yeah. So these business podcasts are great. So you're one, obviously. So that's the best one. But I do like the Secret Darwin CEO and the Modern Wisdom one, Chris Williamson. Brilliant podcast. And they're very inspiring. And they get success stories in from all sorts of walks of life, and I learn a lot from those. But finding happiness, so the whole becoming versus being. They talk a lot in those podcasts about billionaires on their deathbed regretting not spending more time with their family. Did they need the 17th billion? Did that really bring them happiness? So obviously I said this as someone who's lucky enough financially that, a lucky situation. And certainly it's good to be comfortable. But I think people can be greedy and just want more and more and more. And it doesn't bring them happiness. So I think there's a point where in everyone's life, you need to think actually work-life balance, spending more time with the family, all that stuff. In terms of advice for other people, you've got to find your own path and fail in your own way. Fail small if you can. Something I did quite well was, as I said before, I kind of generally failed quite small, these little forays. It was like half an hour of my time whipping up a website. AI, I'd advocate anyone going to business now. You've got a free team of people working for you. It's geniuses. I mean, they're not mediocre. They're super intelligences. Our brain is half a litre. You're getting a sports hall sized brain for very little indeed, helping you do your business all sorts of ways. And I remember it took a long time to learn to use Google when you had a problem. Remember how many times people say, I've got this problem, and you say, oh, try Google. And I go, oh yeah, of course, Google. Yeah. And we're still learning to do that now. And now we're starting to learn to do that with AI. And so many times I'm like, I've got quite good at it now, going straight to thinking, oh, I've got a problem, I'll ask AI. ChatGPT, there's a few of them, but I'm quite loyal to ChatGPT, and it's got a lot of my history. And in fact, I said, a bit of a tangent, but I said about self-diagnosed ADHD, it was ChatGPT I asked. I said, I've been speaking to you for 2 years, sharing all my inner workings, have I got ADHD? And it did that classic disclaimer, legally we cannot diagnose blah, blah, blah.
This isn't medical advice. We're pretty sure.
Yeah, come on, just out with it. And it's you've 100% got ADHD. It gave me loads of detail about what type I've got, and it said, I was diagnosed as dyslexic. I was you're not dyslexic. Your spelling's really good. You're not autistic, which is always good news. It said you've got high emotional intelligence. All this stuff. It knew me really well, and it's a fascinating tool. I use it for all sorts of things.
So. Love Stamford. Yeah. What's the next steps for it?
Yeah. So embarrassingly, I built the site in October last year in about a week, and then I've just gone out kind of telling people about it and talking about it and trying to see where to go with it a little bit and getting feedback. I think the next plan is to actually get the directory going, get as many businesses signed up as possible on the free account. And then obviously there's the upgrade option as well. Yeah. Hopefully that will get enough uptake and interest, hit kind of critical mass to finance the whole thing. And quite a useful, valuable database as well to connect people together a bit better and have some networking events, which can tie in with lots of great networking events, including by yourselves. So it'd be good to have some kind of collaborations going on with loads of great existing events in Stamford that I want to kind of aggregate and promote and cross-pollinate,
sounds
I guess.
Very similar to the speed dating model you ran, actually. Aggregate everything and then run your own, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So I was aggregating all this. There were about 20 different speed dating companies in London back in, 20 years ago. And so I thought, you want one place to list them all. A bit like Money Supermarket and those aggregator sites. And then even now, to find out events in Stamford this weekend, you could literally trawl 20 different websites. I won't list them, but Usual Suspects, Facebook,
and 5
Google,
magazines.
5 magazines. Usual Suspects, Facebook, Google, Meetup, Eventbrite. But then the Arts Centre own website, the Corn Exchange's own website, Tolthorpe's own website, Burley's own website, etc. 20 different websites. That seems like a shame.
It'd be great to have them all in one place, wouldn't it? Yeah, definitely. I think it'd be really, really good.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think there could be a bit more joined up thinking with the actual events themselves, have some themes to them, loads of Halloween events, loads of Christmas events, loads of music events. And actually they're not really well publicized. It's amazing. One of the things I've learned from doing this and meeting people, how many people know Stamford really well that don't know what's going on in Stamford. And sometimes people involved in certain sectors or certain fields in Stamford and don't know some major things going on in their in their own industry.
I found out the battle problems was happening when the cannons went off and woke me up.
Yeah.
Because I'm old and go to bed early. But literally, the cannons woke me up, the dog started barking. What's that? And I had to Google it and find out.
It was an amazing event. It was an amazing event. My wife wouldn't let me take my EU flag to wave. It was 10,000 Union Jacks. I was going to...
And you were going to stand out.
It wouldn't have gone down very well. But, it was a big event. It was an amazing spectacle. Yeah, really good.
What about any particular career highlights that you look back on and sort of celebrate as you go? That was a massive win.
Got to be, that 5 minutes realizing WordPress was going to work for me and I could move out my parents' loft was a big one. This kind of epiphany. And then when the courses started selling, it's just like week 1, I sold 2 places, week 2, 4 places. The next week, sold out with 12. I was doing Groupons and Living Social, those deals and stuff. And I was getting loads of demand. And there was a real peak there, kind of definitely tailing off anyway towards COVID as YouTube courses and stuff were getting better. So yeah, that was a real peak, was just suddenly seeing those sales coming in and realizing, I could make it. Yeah.
That's great. Thanks so much, Toby.
Thank you.
I found it really interesting and found out about your secret shopping addiction, which was a real insight. And more importantly, the really positive side of how you're trying to put something together that we can all see is really going to help the community, support the community, make it easier for people to find events and attend them. And I think it's fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah. Where could people find out more about Love
Stamford? So lovestamford.uk. Simple.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can manage that one.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks so much. Cheers, Adam. Cheers, John.
Thanks for watching today's episode. I hope you really enjoyed listening to our guest and us waffle our way through a fun conversation.
If you'd like to appear as a guest on the Business Growth Show, then do send us a message on LinkedIn and we'll come back to you and get it scheduled.